Hi, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, and wellness advocate. And today's topic is about the Netflix series that is new, and it's called Unbelievable. And so I don't know if you've watched it or not, but someone on Twitter gave me a shout out and wanted to see if I watched it. I never heard of it until she told me about it, so I watched the trailer on YouTube. If you haven't watched the trailer, check it out on YouTube. It's called Unbelievable. So it is a true story, and it's in Washington and Colorado. There's different communities in those states where there was a serial rapist who would go into females' apartments and homes and brutally rape them. And there was a lot more into it, and I won't give it away because you need to see it for yourself. But there were a lot of great takeaways from the movie, from the series. Now there's 8 episodes. I've watched all 8. I finished the last one last night. Super powerful. So anyone who is an abuse survivor, anyone who's a survivor of sexual assault, domestic violence, you may be interested in checking it out. I mean, even if someone was never, a victim of rape, this is really, to me, a meaningful message. The one big takeaway in the message for Unbelievable is that there is no right or wrong way to respond to rape. So when a person becomes a victim of a violent crime such as sexual assault, every woman and every man, because remember now there's men also who are brutally attacked and raped. This is not just a female problem. This is an epidemic worldwide, and it happens to both men, women, and children. It doesn't matter your race, your gender, your ethnic background. It doesn't matter your religious beliefs or lack of beliefs. It doesn't matter your education, how much money you have, wealth, power. It doesn't matter. No one is exempt from being a victim of a violent crime, especially rape. So one takeaway is that there is no right or wrong way to respond after a sexual assault. And being that I have experienced 3 different sexual assaults, 3 different people, 3 different times in my life. So we have a very young age in my life, toddler. We have 15 years old for statutory rape. And then when my sister's husband sexually assaulted me, yes, you heard that correct. You heard that correct. My sister's husband sexually assaulted me in 2006, which is 13 years ago. And every time, the response may have been a little bit different. I mean, number one, when you're a toddler, you're defenseless, you're powerless, you're helpless. Do I need to explain any more about someone who's a child? And that includes when I was 15. When you are a minor, okay, you're under 18 years of age, you are a minor, you are a child. It is extremely difficult because you are powerless, you are helpless, you are defenseless, you are in a situation that you cannot physically, in your human power, you can't escape. And that is an extremely challenging and traumatic experience. Now, even people who are grown adults, people who are older, like in this series, Unbelievable. I mean, these women all had different ages. They all had different appearances. Some were young, some were old, some were white, some were black. Very different people and different lifestyles. And yet they all found themselves a victim of sexual assault. And each person in the series responded differently. Okay, so they all responded in their own unique way. One person may become really quiet. They can't talk. They don't want to tell their story. They don't want to discuss it. They don't want to talk about details. Another person may need to. Another person, maybe they're more vocal, verbal. Maybe communication's a pretty big skill of theirs, and they want to discuss it. Maybe they need to talk about it. And the thing is, most of us are families who then found out that we were sexually assaulted. Most of our families, they don't know how to respond the one thing I want to say, and this is based on my personal experience, and also definitely one of the females who was raped in the movie Unbelievable. It's called victim shaming, victim blaming. Now, this is something I personally experienced when I was 15 years old, and after I had been raped and already had gone to the hospital, and you have to go through the rape kit examination, which is very traumatic. So traumatic. I mean, think about it. I was 15 years old. I never even had a gynecologist appointment in my life yet. Never even had a pap smear yet. And there I am having to be poked and prodded, and it was awful. Okay, it was awful. And then to come home after having been interviewed by the police and going through the story over and over and over, they want to have you like repeat the story, rephrase the story, clarify the story. There's just a lot that goes into it. So much goes into it. But I came home, and by now, I mean, it was super late. It was like 6 a.m. And out of nowhere, my sister barged into my bedroom, had this dirty look on her face, and said, "It's your fault. You deserved it." And then she walked away. And ironically, when her husband sexually assaulted me in 2006, and after I had told her the truth, I told her about what happened, I explained detail by detail the sexual assault, and had hoped that she could take me seriously and know that I was not making up this story. Yes, it was believable, and I really wanted her to believe me because I was being authentic and transparent, and it was a very difficult thing. Hey, she was married to a predator. How do you tell your sister her husband's a monster? The bottom line is, both times my sister shamed me and my sister blamed me. And this is what's going on. I mean, this is what this one woman in the movie Unbelievable experienced. And I'm not going to say who said it and who did it, and I won't give away any more details about the series. You watch the episode for yourself, you'll find out. But many of the women on Twitter, we were kind of sharing our feedback about what we thought of the movie Unbelievable. And a lot of us were saying we were pissed. We were so ticked off. We were so upset with the legal system who protects the predators, not the victims of the violent sexual attacks. And we were so upset. I mean, so many people, you should have saw, there were F-bombs flying everywhere, all over Twitter, people. We were so fired up with what happened in the movie because it's a true story, because people who are survivors of sexual assault are being shamed, are being victim blamed, are being told, "Oh, you shouldn't have worn that. Oh, you shouldn't have drank. You should not have had that alcohol. You shouldn't have done this, and you should not have done that." You know what? Let's make this very clear. We're going to set the record straight, people. We're going to set the record straight. There is not one single person who is a victim of a violent crime, including the sexual assaults. There is not one single person on our planet who is to blame for someone else's criminal, evil acts. Let's make this very clear. Any person who is the predator, and remember, it can be a female. So there are predators. I mean, my first predator was my babysitter. Okay, a female babysitter. My sisters can deny it all they want. You can't hide the truth. You can't hide the truth. You could run, you could bury it in your grave, but I broke the silence. I am writing my trauma story, and I am empowering myself. And it was so educational for me to watch this movie, Unbelievable, because there were so many issues that cropped up. So many things came up. So many emotions. I mean, I'm going to be honest, if you do have things you're dealing with as far as your past trauma, your sexual assaults, this movie might trigger you. But I have something important to say about triggers, and this is really vital that you know this. If you yourself, whether you're on social media or you're reading a book, you're watching a documentary, or you're watching a movie, whether it's a true story or fictitious, understand that if you have any kind of triggers, it is an opportunity to work through the pain. Don't run from it. Don't hide it. Don't try to bury it. Don't try to pretend you're not hurting when truly you are. You know, I have a saying, we can't heal it until we feel it. And I am learning so much as I write my trauma story. I am seeing things in a new light. It's like, it's amazing how things that I possibly didn't even realize, and I'm now realizing. And there's one thing, I'm going to bring up one thing and then I'll end this video. One thing that just came up as I was writing a chapter this week. And I started thinking about how after I was raped, and I'm 15 years old, it's after midnight, pitch black outside, and I'm in a neighborhood that I don't know. So I have no idea where I'm at. I have no car, no transportation. I'm scared to death. Mind you, I was just raped. And so I'm running. I'm literally escaping from the rapist. And I'm on the run, on foot, don't know where I'm going. It's pitch black. And I said a little prayer. Now, this goes way back. I mean, think about it. I'm 15 years old. I was raised without religion. No religion whatsoever. My mom had zero religion, no church, nothing in my life. Okay, but there I am, desperately asking God for an angel, asking God to help me. And I kid you not, it was this week that for the first time after 40 years, my rape happened 40 years ago. And just this week, a new layer. I mean, we got layers. They keep surfacing, new layers. As soon as we work through one layer, boom, another layer surfaces. And this new layer was this. God did send me an angel that night when I was in the dark and scared and lonely and frightened and traumatized and just paralyzed with fear. And I'm walking and not knowing where I'm going. I crossed paths with a young gentleman who was close to my age. I wish I could remember his name. I don't. I mean, hey, it's 40 years ago. But the one thing, sorry, the light just went because the train is passing by and it's kind of, I guess, in my lighting. Onward, let's go forward with the story. So when I was walking and it's dark and I just got raped and I'm scared and it's after midnight, and I said a little prayer that God would send me an angel and he would help me. And I didn't even know. I didn't know if God was real. I didn't know if God was listening. I didn't know if God would answer my prayer. But out of the blue, some guy close to my age showed up and he was up on a porch and I passed by and I thought to myself, I'm desperate. I'm desperate to get home. I'm desperate to get help. And so I took a risk and I asked this person for help. And this person didn't have a car. And he said, I'll thumb you home. I'll hitchhike you home. And I kid you not, this guy who I didn't know, who was a stranger, it was like God sent an angel into my life. This gentleman, and he was a polite gentleman, thumbed me home. We hitchhiked home. I was scared. Yeah, it was a risk, but guess what? Sometimes you get desperate. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And this young gentleman thumbed me home and I got home safe. And this week, it was like all of a sudden I could see things in a new light. And I felt like that it was brought to light because I needed to remember that I said one small prayer. And during this time, after this horrific, traumatic event, God answered in such a big and such a powerful and such a supernatural way. And so this week, as I cried and I wrote and you tell me, there's some heavy duty healing. There's some major layers like an onion just being peeled away one by one. As I write my trauma story, the healing is beautiful. That I'm seeing that, you know what? I'm not the same person who I was 40 years ago. I've grown so much. I have matured and I'm a totally different person. But the beauty is that I'm finally seeing something that I never ever saw in these 40 years. And that's, I asked God for help and he helped me. And so today, I don't know. I don't know if you're suffering. I don't know if you're still having a hard time and getting triggered and feeling shame and blame and feeling like people don't understand you and they're not hearing you. And I just want to say today, whether you do or whether you don't watch this series, Unbelievable, know that I believe you. I believe you. I know that if you said something traumatic and terrible and violent happened to you, I know you're not making it up, and I believe you. And understand, you're not alone. There's so many of us, both men, women, and children, who are battling trauma, who are battling complex PTSD and the horrific aftermath of rape. I'm still going through it, people. You know what? I really, really strongly believe that we will heal for the rest of our lives. That trauma, sorry, my light just went again. I don't know why my light keeps going. I apologize. I don't know what's up with my lighting. The bottom line is that trauma is something that everyone deals with differently. Everyone has a different way of working through it, because there's so much pain, because there's so much sadness and anger and anguish, and there's layers and layers and layers of pain. And another thing that this week that I've really come to understand is that shame's not mine to carry. People who are the predators, they're responsible for the rape, they're responsible for the sexual assaults. And today, you take those chains of shame and you peel those chains off of you, because those chains of shame and blame belong to the rapist. And today, the chains are gone. You are free. You are free indeed. And if you'd like to follow me and continue hearing more about my book and different things I'm going through, and if you'd like to talk to me about anything, whether it is PTSD, whether it is about sexual assaults, no matter what it is, I'm here for you. Feel free to reach out to me and visit me at danaarcuri.com. Once again, check out this video, the series. Unbelievable, awesome, so awesome. It's life-changing, and it's really helping me in my healing journey too. God bless.